We truly have something special now. Would the Veterans Committee please come to the stage? Dan Adler, Air Force veteran and captain, will now make a few comments.
Thank you, Dale. Thank you, Grand Slam Club Ovis, for allowing me to be part of this committee. For those of you that may be in the room that have no idea what's about to happen, I really hope you have some Kleenex nearby. Serving this country was my greatest individual honor of my life. That was 10 years as an active duty officer in the United States Air Force and 10 years as a reservist, inactive reservist. No applause needed, please, no. No applause, nope. I'm just doing my job. Today, though, serving you as the hunter, you as the conservationist, as your guide and outfitter, well, that's been the greatest professional honor of my life. And before we recognize some wonderful folks who certainly deserve it, I'm honored to have a moment with the stage to honor the shadow warriors. So if you're in this room and you have ever been the wife or the husband, the mother, the father, the brother, the son, the cousin or a friend of somebody who is deployed to serve this country, would you please stand? These ladies and gentlemen, these people standing now, let's get it going for them. Those ladies and gentlemen, those people that just stood, those are the shadow warriors. Entitled the shadow warriors because they stay in the shadows. They don't want the credit, but without their support, our country would not be what it is today. I am forever thankful for the sacrifice of my wife, my mother, my sister, my family, my friends here, for the support that you provided, you shadow warriors provided while we were gone. And before I turn this back to Dale, I'd like to share with you a brief poem that will summarize how I feel a lot of us feel on this committee. It's very appropriately entitled, "The Final Inspection." The soldier stood and faced God, which must always come to pass. He hoped his shoes were shining just as brightly as his brass. Step forward now, you soldier. How shall I deal with you? Have you always turned the other cheek? To my cause have you always been true? The soldier squared his shoulders and said, "No, Lord, I guess I ain't." Because those of us who carry guns, well, we can't always be a saint. I've had to work most Sundays, and at times my talk was tough. And sometimes I've been violent because this world is awfully rough. But I never took a penny that wasn't mine to keep, though I worked a lot of overtime when the bills got just too steep. And I never passed a cry for help, though at times I shook with fear, and God, forgive me, sometimes I wept unmanly tears. I know I don't deserve a place amongst the people here. They never wanted me around except to calm their fears. If you've a place for me, O Lord, it needn't be so grand. I never expected or had too much, but if you don't, I'll understand. There was a silence all around the throne where the saints had often trod, as the soldier waited quietly for the judgment of his God. Step forward now, you soldier. You've borne your burdens well. Walk peacefully on heaven's streets. You've done your time in hell. Ladies and gentlemen, the author of that is unknown. Thank you again for letting me be part of this committee. It's an honor. Dale.
Let me tell you how this came about. This past spring, we received a call from Greg Johnson of Danbury, Wisconsin, saying he had a significant number of preference points in Wyoming and he did not need another bighorn sheep. He said it would be possible to give it to a wounded veteran, so we called Wyoming and they said, "You bet." Well, subsequently, another member came forward, Richard Rosenberg of Elmhurst, Illinois. He said, "I've got the maximum number of points in Wyoming, let's make it 2. And so that's how it all started. And Josh Bartolio, an outfitter and Wyoming guide, came forward and said, "I'll be happy to guide him." So now we've got a guide and we've got hunts. and it's going to be wonderful. I would ask that, and I know that, Greg, you don't like this very much, but we'd really like to have you come up here. And Richard and Josh, please come to the stage also. Now, if for some reason these veterans do not draw this year, they will certainly go next year. And speaking of next year, Richard L'Esperance has come forward and said, you know, I missed it this year, so I'll give you $10,000 for next year. And if anybody would like to help us along, we'd like to continue doing this program, and we'll send out another bulletin next year, and we'll send some more veterans on a hunt. We formed a committee of 5 veterans from Grand Slam Club Ovis, and I'd like to introduce them to you. You bet Dan Adler, Captain, United States Air Force. Seth Campbell, United States Army, First Lieutenant Airborne and Iraqi Freedom. Keith HITE, United States Army, Vietnam veteran. Harvey TRUEBLOOD, career United States Navy and Vietnam veteran. He was a Chief Petty Officer. And me, United States Marine Corps captain. We then put in the magazine a page about the Wounded Veteran Sheep Hunt, and we asked them to submit an essay, why they should be chosen, their branch of service, military career, and injury information, and their ability to hunt sheep and get up the mountain. Well, after we evaluated all the entries, and I have to tell you, I woke up in the middle of the night a number of times wondering, how in the world do you pick between heroes? But we made a choice. First choice of the committee was Sergeant Major Hugh FOSKEY, United States Army. The second was United States Marine Corps Warrant Officer Jeremy Rogers. Would you 2 heroes please join me up here? Would you please run the video?
Retired Sergeant Major Hugh FOSKEY from Vidalia, Georgia, grew up hunting with his dad from age 8. He joined the Army right after high school. He served 26 years before he was medically retired. He served in the 82nd Airborne Division, 25th Infantry Division, Long Range Recon in Hawaii, 3rd Range Battalion, and he was part of the 1st Delta Force operation for 16 years before he retired. Hugh served in 3 different combat zones, including Somalia in 1993, Afghanistan for 2 deployments, 2001 and 2002, and an amazing 6 deployments to Iraq. Naturally, Hugh is a highly decorated veteran. His extensive list includes the Bronze Star, the Meritorious Service Medal, the Air Medal, and of course, the Purple Heart, which Hugh received during his 5th deployment to Iraq in 2006. Even though many of his team members were injured from an explosion, all 19 made it out alive and were awarded the Purple Heart for that mission in Iraq. However, it was an injury just after Hugh's last deployment to Iraq that eventually caused his medical retirement. His unit was doing pre-dawn parachute training, and he jumped from 12,500 feet and pulled the chute at 4,500 feet. He encountered a fog bank that severely limited his vision, and he chose a power line right of way to land, thinking it was a road in the poor visual conditions. He hit the lines and became entangled with his chute and gear for 2 hours. He received severe 2nd and 3rd degree burns, having been hit with 74,000 volts in his left shoulder. It took months to recover, but of course, the effects and the scars remain. Jeremy Rogers of Fredericksburg, Virginia, retired from the Marine Corps after 24 years. During his career, he was deployed to more than 30 countries and took part in 4 major conflicts. Those included the 1991 First Gulf War and in 1992, the Mogadishu, Somalia conflict. In 1999, he was deployed to Kosovo. In 2005 and 2006, he was deployed to Iraq and received 3 injuries in combat. In April 2005, his vehicle was hit by an IED, and this caused a grade 3 concussion and hearing loss. In May 2005, he fell victim to another IED with very similar effects. A month later in June, he was hit by a mortar and was thrown through the air, hitting an armored vehicle, and it sent shrapnel through his head, hands, and back. He spent almost 2 years learning how to walk and talk correctly again. Amazingly, it was during this time that he fell in love with hunting, and he attributes it in helping with his recovery. Ladies and gentlemen, would you join us in congratulating these 2 brave warriors who've made it possible for us to even be here tonight?
We know how they fight. Let's see how they talk. Hugh, you're up first.
Thank you very much. This is very humbling. I've done a lot of things in my life, but words can't explain what you guys have done for us. I'd like to say thanks to Mr. Del Martin, Mr. Dennis Campbell, Seth and Bessie, and my newfound friend Mary Jo. They were wonderful meeting me at the airport and escort me in. She was a great guide. And I'd like to say thanks to all the other Grand Slam Club and Novus members and staff for everything you've done. I'd like to say thanks to Josh for what you've done and what you're offering. It means a lot. And last but not least, most important to me is Mr. Rosenberg. Thank you, sir. It means a lot. It means a lot. We were told to keep it short, under 30 minutes, so if you want to stretch out. Now, I just want to close out saying thank every one of you for all you've done and all the you support us. Keep our service members in mind and in your prayers, because no matter what anyone tells you on the news and what this administration tells you that this war is over, I have really close friends that are doing bad things to bad people tonight. And there's a lot of people out there still fighting, and you won't hear about it. And someone said it here earlier, and I probably can't do it as much justice, but the last deployment I went on in 2007, I backed out of the driveway, and I see my kid standing in the driveway crying. That's the hardest thing in the world, because what I was doing, I loved doing it. I did it for, I was 18 years old, and that's what I wanted to do. But those kids and my family and our families, they're not the ones who necessarily signed up. And I signed up many times. At 20 years, I could have retired, but I chose to stay in. And but those are the ones that are sitting back there. They're, like he said, the shadow heroes. And always, we hear thank you so much, and I really appreciate it, and we all do. But please when you see a veteran, if they're with their family, go and thank them. Thank the wife and the kids, please, and other family members, because they're the ones, they're doing it every day, and they're not the ones that signed the dotted line. So, thank you very much.
Here you are, my friend. Our trophy together. Thank you.
Nice speech. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeremy Rogers. You saw a little bit something about me. Thank you. Of course, Kathy DeHadaway is the first one to clap. My favorite person in the whole wide world. Secondly, her husband, Bob. The generous people that really got me into hunting. I mean, seriously. You saw that it took me 2 years to learn to walk and talk again. I was challenged at one point to do something crazy. Well, I'd never hunted before. I've only been hunting 3 years now. But I wanted to hunt a moose because I've always been called Moose. You have these moose antlers? I embrace it. My email's actually Moose Rogers. So I ended up getting the chance to do that, and I got to hunt a bear with Bob and Kathy DeHadaway, and they're the ones that said, hey, put your stuff in for this particular hunt. I had never heard of Ovis. Whatever. And then all of a sudden, here I am in Reno. I can't even believe it. But the one, and I have to keep this short, or otherwise Dale's going to probably push me off the stage. The one thing that I want to convey to you, everyone in this room right now, you don't know what you're doing. That's harsh, isn't it? You have no idea what you're doing. What you're doing is not just hunting is the #1 conservation tool. Hunting changes lives. Hunting saves lives. And I'm here to tell you that because when I started hunting 3 years ago as a form of therapy, it changed and saved my life. I could be sitting on the couch, woe is me, and not walking like I can walk today, and not fixing my speech pattern because I've had multiple brain injuries and lots of shrapnel and all those blah, 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 don't care, it doesn't matter. What you do, the people in this room, you give back to us warriors. So we hear, and he'll tell you the same, we hear hero all the time. We're not heroes. We volunteered for this and we knew we were going to get injured or the possibility. The heroes are sitting out here who, out of the kindness of their hearts, give back to us. You're the heroes. And don't forget, you change our lives. We volunteered for this. You didn't. But I thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you do for us. Thank you very much.
We're not done yet. These two are now the newest life members of Grand Slam Club Ovis. And today, Mike Monin of Captivate M Outdoors contacted me. He will provide them with this clothing for the hunt, base layers, soft layers, hard layers, insulating layers. While I was talking to him, Tony Ward came by. He said, how about a shoulder mount of each sheep, and I'll provide that. So it just continues on and gets better. Good hunting, guys.